Hey, what's up? Shooting a video here. I'm just relaxing. I'm laying down. Just feeling a little bit lonely, so I thought I'd shoot a video, even though I'm not technically. I'm talking to you guys in the future. If I post this, man, I'm just feeling really. I don't know if I have a cold or whatever, but honestly, this has been going on. When I started taking the Lamictal, and I'm not sure if it's the Lamictal or not, but hold on. When I first started taking the Lamictal, I started getting, I thought I was getting like flu-like symptoms, and maybe it was. I'm not sure, but what was happening was I was basically doing a lot. I was out in the heat a lot. I think that the medication had gotten me to a point where I was just feeling more and more energy. I had a lot more energy, and then I started to I was running so much more, and I was just a lot more active or whatever, and I think that just burned me out. And but I started getting flu-like symptoms like on and off. It was weird, and I think that the medication was contributing. I don't know. But I've been off of that for a while now, and anyway, I'm just in a rut because I want to be better. And if you know, oh my gosh, I have been through the ringer. Oh my God, I've dealt with enough pain and misery to last 1,000 lifetimes. And it's all sort of self-inflicted, I guess. But I'm kind of hung up with this ADHD diagnosis, and I always get to a point where I'm like, oh no, I don't want to take meds, and I want to feel natural, but in a natural state, I feel so miserable. So I'm not sure if the weather just changed, if this is a cold, but I'm pretty sure it's adrenal fatigue. And this video is going to go into the adrenal fatigue videos at some point. I felt really, really tired last night, or yesterday, but I was just tired. I just don't want to be in the house, so I went to the park, and then I ended up deciding a run would help. And it did, temporarily a running helped. So, but today I woke up again feeling like I got hit by a dump truck. And this was how I felt sort of when we first moved in here. After a lot of stress and a lot of physical exertion, lots of it. I was running so many miles. And I was stressing so hard with so many things going on in my life. It was just absolutely crazy. And then but my anxiety and everything like that was very much in control. I didn't feel much anxiety. The depression was lower, and all that sort of stuff. So when I got here, I sort of just started falling apart. And it didn't feel like anxiety or anything. I just felt sick, so it's just like the flu, or just kind of constantly, and then it would go away, and then I'd go run, and then it would come back, and I can't seem to calm down. I keep doing 30,000, 20,000 steps a day, even I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do anything today, and I end up getting 25,000 steps. But today I think I've got, let's see how many I've got here. Oh my gosh, I only have 7,600 steps, and it's already 10 o'clock at night. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. It's been so hard just to lay here. I've been just kind of laying here because my body's just given out. So I'm dedicated to, I think I'm getting ready to not run at all for the month of November, and try to get under 10,000 steps a day, and just rest. Lots of water, fresh juice every day, and just rest. Maybe with some meditation. It's about changing myself. I've got to start listening to audiobooks more, and meditating, just finding a balance of rest. I just haven't done that my whole life, and it's just caught up to me. So I really want to be better. It's just weird because when I first got off the Xanax all those years ago, and I was just purging myself, I was like, let me just eat healthy and run and exercise and get all these toxins out of me. Let's just get this all out. And I just became addicted to it because it was the only time I really felt alive and happy at first. And I became obsessed with it. I don't run like a marathon every day, but I typically would run 2 to 5 miles a day, but then I would walk a lot and be really active, and I don't sleep well, and that combined with all this, the mental stress, it's just a lot of stress on my physical and mental body. So I'm whispering kind of because my throat kind of hurts. I'm like, am I actually sick? Because I haven't been actually like real sick, and that would be not that bad. That'd be kind of good. But it's like my body's like, dude, just rest. And a lot of the videos I've seen for like YouTube and like the adrenal fatigue videos, that's what they say, man. It's like the number one thing. It's there's supplements and stuff like that, but you gotta listen to your body. You gotta just. It's so hard for somebody like me, I guess, with ADHD or whatever the hell I have. To do that, it's like my worst nightmare is to be laying there. Years ago, I didn't have that problem. I was really I was in a different space. But I'm learning a lot, and this is all part of the journey, I guess, because eventually, when I'm on top of the world, I'm gonna start a movement to help people and stuff like that. But medication isn't going to cure adrenal fatigue. Of course not. But the adrenal fatigue is fueled by stress and anxiety and worry, and it's all starting to make sense, When I was a kid, I'm just going to tell you all a little bit about me. It's so weird when I look at the camera. I don't like I'm talking to myself. I don't like that at all. I'm gonna have to turn it around, but so anyway, so my story just I was just dealt not the best hand, definitely not the worst hand, but my dad was an alcoholic, and he beat on my mom pretty regular, and I remember it. I was very young though. When my dad decided he was gonna kill me and my brother. He and my mom, my brother was like 5 or 6, I was like 4, and she left the house and took us. He was in the kitchen looking for a knife to kill us with, and she left there, and then we moved in with my grandparents, and then they were taking care of us for a while. My mom, it was always stress. It was always her crying and worrying all the time. So at an early age, I saw that, I saw her being beaten. I saw the constant stress. Oh, we don't have money. And she moved, and we lived in different houses that we couldn't really afford very well. And she was working jobs. She was young. She was like early 20s, raising 2 boys by herself. And yeah, it was hard for a while. She was just always crying, and we didn't know where to go. And we finally got evicted, and she was dating this guy, and we didn't know what to do. And I remember sitting in the car with her, and I don't want to say names, in my stepfather's driveway, and we didn't have nowhere to go. And she's like, "What are we gonna do?" And I remember saying, "Oh, well, we can live in a tent, or we can live in a..." I was just coming up with all these stupid ideas, and she just kept crying, and she kept crying. I was young, I didn't understand. And we went inside the house and knocked on the door, and Tony, oh my God, I said his name. He came to the door with, he was like really tired, and I remember it really well. And he said, "Come on in," and we came in, and we spent there. We were living there for a while, and then they got married, and Tony's mom died soon after that. Yeah, pretty much. It was a blur for a while, and I wasn't very happy. I was a very unhappy kid. I was always, I don't know, I just didn't like it there, and I didn't like it anywhere. I was always threatening to run away. I had like really bad headaches, temper tantrums, and things like that. But I was always depressed. I started writing very early about suicide and darkness, and reading Revelations, and always just wishing the world would end, because I wanted people to feel my suffering, or how I felt inside. And then one night, we actually, me and my brother, when I was about 8 years old, we had a paranormal experience. I mean, really, really paranormal. It was overheard somebody calling our name from the door, and it was like a child's whisper. It was real, man. It was real. My brother heard it. I heard it. I was terrified. That house was haunted, like really bad, and we lived there for got sidetracked. But oh yeah, people have heard things, seen things. I mean, the whole family would see somebody, a girl I dated would see some guy walking by. We called the police multiple times because we thought people were breaking into the house. We thought there's actual people in the house. That's how real it was. So anyway, at an early age, like 8 years old, I was terrified to sleep. I couldn't sleep at all. I could not sleep. I was so scared to go to sleep. I would rub my ears and hum to myself because I didn't want to hear the voice again. And I had fear. I just didn't want to go home. I didn't want to be anywhere. I didn't want to be at school. I didn't want to be at home. I just kind of sat there, scared to look in the windows because I didn't want to see the figures. And I spent a lot of years like that. I know it sounds crazy, it's a cool ghost story, but it took a toll on me more than anyone else. I don't know why. I was petrified. And petrified to use the bathroom, petrified to do anything in the house. So my mom ended up leaving Tony for another guy who was beating her, and a druggie, bipolar guy. And when I was like 13 or something, 12 or 13, and then we were moved to a couple different places. We couldn't really afford a lot, and I was 13. Yeah, my brother was pretty popular, and he was always gone with friends, older kids that had a car, and my younger brother and sister, which were Tony's kids, were always at his house, and then I was by myself all the time. My mom wasn't there. She's either, I guess, working or with Jamie, and I was just alone in the house, just by myself. And I used to think about suicide all the time, and I was a pretty crazy kid, actually. I did a lot of crazy things. But my uncle started buying me alcohol at 13. I started working full time when I was like 14. And so I was just working all the time, going to school, and I just dedicated myself to doing good in school because I just want to get the hell out of there. And alcohol is awesome because it just made me feel normal. I just felt normal for the first time. And so I drink most nights, and it helped me sleep too. So it was like perfect combo to me. I still went to school and worked, and everything was whatever. And my mom, she'd come home with bruises, and Jamie would break into the house, and there was a lot of violence and threats and different things going on. A lot of negativity. Oh, and my dad had come back in my life early on. He got clean, and then all he talked about was how he had been, raped as a kid and beaten and all the things that he went through. Like, he was telling me all these things from like 8, 9 years old at the same time. So now in retrospect, I was just inundated with a lot of negativity, a lot of negativity. And I was just a sad little boy, with ADHD who wanted attention. I used to hang myself when my brother would come home so that he would find me, and I wouldn't die, or anything. I would fake it because I just wanted to be cared about, and it made me feel like someone loved me. When he would get really upset that I had done that, I guess I just didn't feel very appreciated. I felt pretty lonely. And then I ended up, just somehow getting by, and I never really cared about people. I always used to skip school, and I just didn't want to be around people much, and I used to do crazy stuff, jump off of stuff, hurt myself, broke a lot of bones. But I was crazy, man. People liked being around me because I would drink and do crazy things. But, I felt clarity, I felt normal. I thought it was normal, everything I felt. And then I ended up having a group of friends, and, I was going out and doing things, mostly drinking. I tried to fit in, I'd play soccer and do things, but I always felt forced, I never really wanted to do anything. And I tried to pick up a hobby, and I just didn't have patience. I couldn't learn how to skateboard or play the guitar because I get so angry all the time. And when I was, we'd go play golf, and I could not do something like that, like something slow paced like that. I was like, holy cow, dude, no way. I would throw the golf club over the fence, and out of anger, just anything that requires patience makes me extremely angry. And then I ended up going to college, graduated, got into college, scared to death, always stressed, didn't know if I had money, worked full time, dated a girl that was always breaking up with me every other damn day, and that was super stressful. It was just always fear, always fear and always stress. And then I remember playing a video game one time, and I was actually in college the first time I ever really played a video game, and man, it felt, so good. I felt like, just because I was lost in the game, I wasn't in my problems in my head, and I became quite addicted to that. So it was either going to class, skipping school, working or playing the game, or drinking. I didn't drink every day, but I drank on the weekends, like a lot. I drank, binge drink, and I'm talking, drank once, maybe twice a week, but when I drank enough for a month. I was drinking till I black out, and I never black out, so it'd be like 7 in the morning. I'd always come home bloody. From a fight or something. I'd fall or, yeah, and I'd go into these rages, man, like crazy rages when I was drinking. Break my stuff, hurt myself, cut myself. Not every time, but like 1 out of 10 times, I would go crazy. Yeah, dude, it was bad. Running from cops almost every weekend, getting into fights with them, and I never got caught. My poor brother used to wait there, and he never knew if I'd even survive the night. But those same people that knew that I was killing myself would be pouring me shots the next weekend because they knew that I was fun and I could bring girls to the party, and I would turn a normal party into the best party. I was a great entertainer, a great host. I was fun. I was energetic. But only when I was drinking, right? I mean, but then, I struggled a little bit, in school. Things were tough. Could never focus, but somehow I don't know how, by the grace of damn God, I got through that shit. I was like a CB student in college. I didn't really care. I just wanted to graduate. And then I got, it's just crazy because, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, now I'm applying that ADHD filter after hearing all those symptoms, and it's just like I remember all these things, like, that I did, and it just all makes sense, But, chronically stressed, man, no matter what. I was just conditioned to stress, bro, like, bad. And, anyway, I ended up graduating, and then about a week after, and I had been taking, like, over-the-counter sleeping pills every night for years and then I would take BC powders in the mornings for headaches every day, like, multiple. Energy drinks, fast food, no exercise at all. Just the worst lifestyle you could ever imagine. Worst. Maybe not the worst. I didn't do drugs or anything like that. And I didn't sleep around either. I never was interested in sleeping around. I was very romantic at that time. I was always looking for the one, and I was always just trying to take my time. So I was never really interested in that. So anyway, when I graduated, I ended up about a week later, after I was hungover one day, I was driving on a long drive and I had my first panic attack, and that set history. And then they started coming more and more frequently until I couldn't even leave my room after like a week. And then I finally went to see a doctor, and they put me on Xanax, and they gave me Xanax. And then about 3 days later is when my prostatitis or interstitial cystitis started, which was the worst debilitating pain I could ever explain. It just felt like my bladder was going to explode 24 hours a day. I lost so much weight. I couldn't eat. All the doctors told me that I would never get better, that it was chronic, it was permanent. They tried all these things. I mean, I had poked and prodded, cystoscopies, colonoscopies. I would have cut I was even researching like ways to paralyze myself from the waist down because I was in so much pain. I didn't care, and I wanted to have my bladder removed. But everything, when that happens to you, everything just falls away because you can't think, you can't focus. You're just in pain all the time, night every day. And your brain is like, fire, 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 do something. What do you do? There's nothing you can do. God, I don't understand how God could put me through this. So, I ended up, I was still working through that, by the way. I didn't have a choice. But I didn't have a life. It was so bad. It was so bad, dude. Like, really bad. But there's no panic or depression when you're in that survival mode. It just doesn't exist. It's like a whole new reality. You're more real. You are like in the moment, every moment. You're so real. Like, it's weird how that works. But I ended up getting better. I found a book that explained that it was anxiety based. It's crazy. I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. So I started practicing these tension relief exercises. That's after like over a year of pain, And then it started working, man. I started drinking again. I had stopped drinking for a while, and like I was just drinking straight whiskey. I was like, I'm not, because it helped me not care about it as much. I didn't care about it as much when I was drinking. I felt it, but it was like, so I was numbing it. And it actually, I'm not trying to, don't go drink yourself to death or anything like that, but it went away. And then I moved and I got a job and I met my beautiful, wife. And, like I was good for like a year or something. Like I was pretty good. I was traveling all over the country. I got on a plane. I would fly here and there. Alaska, whatever, by myself. And I would drive hours and hours and hours. I was like the most functional a person can be. I was as most functional a human being could be for that year. But then my health started taking a turn for the worse, and I started gaining a lot of weight because I was still leading a really party lifestyle. All I ate was McDonald's and Applebee's because I was living with my brother and my friend and her and like all these people in this house, this split level house outside of Washington, D.C. And they worked at Applebee's and that's all I ate. I sat at home, played Halo. I was like 200 pounds almost. Didn't exercise, didn't do anything. And then I started having like chronic nausea. Like felt like I was gonna throw up like 24/7. I'm very sensitive. And I didn't know what to do, and eventually they took my gallbladder out. Not once did a doctor ever ask me about my damn lifestyle. I smoked a pack of cigarettes a day. I drank all this, I binge drank on the weekends, pizza and Burger King and Subway every day. No exercise, poor sleep habits. I mean, what the hell you think is going to happen to a body in that situation? But I didn't really remember having a lot of anxiety. I really didn't have a lot of anxiety. I just felt tired all the damn time. I was just tired and sick all the time. My anxiety was there, but it was in the background, But, and then one night, I got laid off, ended up because my health was so bad, and then I ended up, got drunk one night and hung myself, and by accident, the damn news came down, and I actually hung myself. I was just drunk. I was just trying to get attention again, I think. My brother came up there and cut me down, but, like, barely, like, I almost died. And I woke up in a mental hospital. And I was scared to death. I had a guy next to me that was, like, shitting on himself and, like, throwing a shit on the walls, and couldn't wear shoes, and they were giving me pills, but I didn't take any pills. The only thing I took was like as needed, low dose, 0.25 milligrams Xanax. That's all I took. And they were giving me all kinds of shit. I don't even know, but I felt weird as hell. And I was in there and I had a talking group, and then after like 3 days they let me go because they said, "Oh, you're perfectly normal, healthy. This was just being drunk." And I said, "Great." And then I moved, I took a job with an intelligence division in the military down in South Carolina. And I ended up wanting to start over, and I ended up falling in the wrong crowd again because people in my complex were always trying to get me to drink, and I said no, and then I ended up starting to drink again. Once again, not nightly, I just always drank on the weekends. And and then I ended up getting some crazy stuff happening, cutting myself, slit my wrist one night after rampaging some of my stuff in my house. Ended up in the hospital and told the police someone broke into my house and all this crazy stuff. And it was terrible. I had a crazy imagination. I've always had a wild imagination, and then I ended up getting released, and I went back home, and we ended up moving. People thought there was a damn murder there because there was so much blood because I had hit an artery in my arm. But we moved to this other house, and then I calmed down for a while, but then we started partying heavy again on the weekends and having a good time. It was the only time I could have a good time. Every other time I was not doing well. And then I started having intrusive thoughts all the time of like hurting myself, hurting other people, just crazy stuff I didn't want to talk about. I didn't want to get locked up. It was like my brain just would think of all the most negative things around me. And all this time I had flare-ups. God dang, for about a year I had a headache that didn't go away. That's when I gave up caffeine and BC powders because I went to the doctor and he said, you're having rebound headaches. Because I was slowly starting to try to get healthy, right? I wanted to get healthier, I just didn't know how. So, I mean, it's funny because at one point I bought a dang deep fryer and I was going to fry vegetables because I thought that'd be healthy. That's how ignorant I was. I thought I was so smart, but I was really, really ignorant about health. You know, oh yeah, and I've always drank a lot of soda, and I ended up giving up soda. Eventually I started doing a modified paleo diet, and I only drink water and herbal teas now. But I gave up all that, and then I gave up the alcohol, and I was 250 days off alcohol. But I was having like all these intrusive thoughts all the time, and I started having panic attacks, and the Xanax wasn't working for me anymore, and I was just... And then one day, depersonalization hit me like a ton of bricks. Good Lord. I just left my body, all my emotion left. I kept trying to do things with my wife because I didn't want her to leave. I was just hoping once I got better, you know, I'd have a life. So I was pushing myself. I joined like this ghost hunting group that I was working with these ghost hunters. We'd go investigate houses, which is funny because of my fear, you know, but doctors always wanted to try me on antidepressants and stuff, and I just never wanted to try anything because I don't know, I just didn't feel like I needed it. And right, shit. So I ended up man, I hope this video is not too long. I hope I can post it. I'm gonna try to wrap it up. But I ended up moving again and taking another job about an hour away. And dude, and I quit Xanax, I quit drinking, I was depersonalized. I had, my skin was burning and I was trembling all the time from all this withdrawal. And I was like, God, and I would go run and run. I would just sit there and cry after a run and be like, oh my God, am I ever going to feel anything again? And somehow it was working, and then working was getting harder and harder for me to do because, God, I was in hell. And then I got on gabapentin. My doctor finally convinced me to try gabapentin. It was either that or I was going to kill myself for sure. And then and this was after, oh my gosh, so many trials and errors with like a billion supplements, which I could only take for like a day because I'm just impatient and I can't wait for it to work and I just want to be better now. So I ended up